Hi, good morning. Welcome to Read with Chide. This is day 17, and yes, we are reading in the morning today and also in the evening. So please do well to share this link with your friends and loved ones. Let them know that we are reading the Bible together right now. Thank you for joining us. Remember that the purpose of us doing this is to see Christ in the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, all combined. So as we read, do well to share your thoughts, share your questions, share your aha moments, share what you think you resonates with you between these Bible characters and yourself, and how you see Christ in these Bible characters. Because at the end of the day, especially in the Old Testament, it was all a mime showing Christ, and then New Testament revealing Christ, the express image of God, the brightness of his person. Today we are reading Genesis chapter 41, 42, and Matthew chapter 12, and we are going to go right into it, starting from Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. Remember the last reading, day 16, the butler and the baker. The butler was going to be restored and the baker was going to be killed, and then Joseph told the butler, please, when you are restored, remember me. And the butler went and forgot Joseph. So now, and it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them, and the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent to call all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain's guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, and I and he, we dreamed each man according to his interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, a servant to the captain of the guard, and we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream he did interpret, and it came to pass as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. Now, one thing I want to point out here is, one thing I learned and then went and studied, is when you have a dream and then it is the same dream repeated, you want to pay attention to that type of dream, right? Example is here with Pharaoh. Another example with Peter, when God showed him, brought down that sheet and said, kill and eat. And he said, no, Lord, I have not eaten no unclean thing. I shall not eat it. And God brought it a second time, brought it a third time, So when you have the same dream repeatedly, you want to pay attention to such a dream. I know generally we say, dreams are just, the imagination of your mind, whatever was on your mind and stuff like that. But, when it is repeated like that, you want to pay attention to either pray about it more so that you understand exactly what God is saying to you, or continuing. So Joseph has freshened up. Verse 15, and Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou can understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean-fleshed, such as I have never seen in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kind did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I woke up, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them, and the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. With what God is about to do showeth unto Pharaoh, behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine shall consume the land, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following. For it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities, and that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, and the land perish not, that the land perish not through the famine. Now, this was very instructive, because you know how you say, God has said it, there's nothing we can do about it. He had the dream of what will happen. It took a wise man to tell him what to do to help what will happen. Now, see the words that Joseph used here. It says, when the years of famine come, the years of plenty shall not be known in the land, for reason of that the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. Imagine that they did not store up in the years of the plenty. The plan, or the way, how bad the famine would have been, is that it would be so bad you will not even know that there was 7 years of plenty before. But wisdom from God is able to save. When God shows you a thing, is because he has given you the wisdom, the wherewithal to wade through the waters and figure out a way to not drown. Thank you, Jesus. And the thing was, verse 37, and the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a man as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck, and made him to ride in his 2nd chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. And Joseph went over all the land of Egypt. It's instructive that both for Joseph and for Daniel, they were in strange lands that did not worship God, the God of Israel, right? But they stood out by the power of the God of Israel, right? And these people, these heathen kings, saw it that, no, this man, in him is the Spirit of God, and I want him to, handle this thing. I want him to be my most trusted official. I want him to, handle big things for in my kingdom. No matter where you find yourself, whether in the land that worships God or in a land that is another land, what stands you out is that you know your God. Rather than blending in that evil land will never benefit you. Rather, standing out for God will benefit you, because at the end of the day, men always wish for light. They might not actively seek it, they might not look like they want it, but they always wish for light. So in that land of darkness, when they see that you are the light and you are bringing light to them, they will inevitably gravitate towards you and place you in that separate position and say, this guy is different, the Spirit of God is in him. Verse 46. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, and the food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil, and my father's house, and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all the land, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, that what he saith unto you, do. This is so instructive. So the famine was not just in Egypt, it was in all the lands. All the lands, but Egypt was spared. Why? Because they had Joseph in their midst. Now, also because God's plan was unfolding, right? God had sent Joseph in advance for his family so that they will be saved eventually. Remember, Israel did not have a king, so that even if they were the ones who received the vision, it would have been a bit harder for them to organize themselves the way, Joseph was able to organize things in Egypt, right? And also, you see how he was consistent, like Joseph was consistent, rather, when he came in. And the person who bought him first from slavery, Potiphar, he said that Potiphar did not even bother to know all the things he had. Joseph was in charge. All he knew about was the bread that was placed before him at each time he had to eat. He handed over everything to Joseph. When Joseph was put in prison, we read that the prison guard handed over everything to Joseph. Whatever was done in the prison, it was done by Joseph. Like, Joseph was the one calling the shots. Now, with the king of Egypt, the Pharaoh himself, Joseph, he said, see, here's my ring on your hand. The only thing that I senior you with is this throne I'm sitting on. Any other thing, you are in charge. It's instructive. The power God has given into you, that God has put in you, is not just for yourself and your family. Yes, you are supposed to preach the gospel, save souls, get people saved. That is your primary purpose on earth, to know Christ and to make him known. While at it, make life a little better for other people on this earth. Let them know that in you is the Spirit of the living God. Verse 55. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all the countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands. Genesis chapter 42, rather. Verse 1. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down there thither, buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. The man I don't see when. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence come ye? And they said, from the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dream which he dreamed. Allah, bradash. Joseph remembered the dream which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, ye are spies. Because in that dream, he said, this is what I saw in the dream. And my sheaf stood, and all you people's 10 sheaves bowed before my sheaf. Another dream, the sun, the moon, and 10 stars all bowed before me. And they were like, what do you mean? And tried to kill him. But here it is, being fulfilled right in their face. And he said unto them, ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are not spies. And he said unto them, nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. And Joseph said unto them, that is it that I speak unto you. Ye are spies. Hereby is given, why are you? Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. And send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you. Or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely ye are spies. And he put them all together into ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the 3rd day, this do and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine to your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your word be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, we are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. So they are saying among themselves now that it is what they did to Joseph that is coming back to haunt them. And in a sense, they were correct, because it was Joseph himself that was doing this to them, so that he can, show them that, see what God said that you guys didn't believe. One, he wanted to see his younger brother. Two, he wanted them to bring all of them to come back there. So in a sense, he wasn't necessarily doing this for wickedness. He was doing this to get them to bring their younger brother before he reveals himself to them, right? And so among themselves, they were saying, what we did to Joseph, that's what is coming back to haunt us, because we saw the anguish in his eyes and we did not pity him. Verse 22, and Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required, because they were convinced that he had died. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. So they were having this conversation in front of Joseph. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man his money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way, and thus did he unto them. And they landed their asses, and they laded their asses with the corn, and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the inn, he espied his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto his brothers, my money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their hearts failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, what is this that God has done unto us? And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell them, saying, The man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us. He took us for spies, spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of one man. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine to your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that ye are not spies, but that ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and you will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hands. I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befalls him by the way in which ye go, then shall you bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave. What a precarious situation. So this is Jacob saying, I will not let you do this to me. You have already taken, Joseph was killed. Now you want to take Benjamin again. What if anything happens to him? I will not agree. Eventually he will agree, but that is for tomorrow's, on the next day's reading. The next chapter we are reading is Matthew chapter 12, and we will be done with day 17. Matthew chapter 12. Verse 1. And at that time Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were hungered, and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to be done upon the Sabbath day. But he said unto them, Have ye not read that what David did when he was an hungered, and they that were with him? How he entered into the house of God, and did eat the shewbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests. Or have ye not read in the law, how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath, and are blameless? But I say unto you, that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if ye had known what this meaneth, I will have mercy and not what this meaneth, that I will have mercy and not sacrifice, ye would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day. And when he was departed thence, he went into the synagogue, and behold, there was a man which had his hands withered. And he asked them, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? And they might accuse him. And he said unto them, What man shall there be among you? Why am I making so many errors? What man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if that sheep fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore is it lawful to do well on the Sabbath day? Then said he to the man, Stretch forth thine hand. And he stretched it forth, and it was restored whole, like as the other. Then the Pharisees went out and held a council against him, how they might destroy him. But when Jesus knew it, he withdrew himself from thence, and great multitudes followed him, and he healed all of them. And he charged them that they should not make him known, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Esaias the prophet, saying, Behold my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit upon him, and he shall show judgment to the Gentiles. He shall not strive nor cry, neither shall any man hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed shall he not break, and smoking flax shall he not quench, till he send forth judgment unto victory, and in his name shall the Gentiles trust. Then was brought unto him one possessed with a devil, blind and dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and dumb both spake and saw. And all the people were amazed and said, Is not this the son of David? But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, This fellow doth not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of the devils. And Jesus knew their thoughts, and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And if by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore there shall be your judges. But if I cast out devils by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God is come unto you. Or else, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house? He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth abroad. Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Ghost shall not be forgiven unto men. And whosoever speaketh a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. But whosoever speaketh against the Holy Ghost, it shall not be forgiven him, neither his word, neither in this world, neither in the world to come. Either make the tree good, and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt, and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by the fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you, that every idle word that men will speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words shalt thou be justified, and by thy words shalt thou be condemned. Then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. But he answered and said unto them, An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. For as Jonas was 3 days and nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this great generation, and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And behold, a greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south shall rise up in the judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, for she came from the uttermost part of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. And behold, a greater than Solomon is here. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he saith, I will return unto my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished. Then he goeth and take with him 7 other spirits, more wicked than himself. And they enter in and dwell there, and the last state of the man is worse than the first. Even so shall it also be with this wicked generation. Verse 46. While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one of his disciples said, Behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. And he answered and said unto them that told him, Who is my mother? And who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and brethren, for whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother. May God bless the reading of his word. That brings us to the end of the Bible reading for day 17. I hope that you learned one or two things. I hope that you were reminded of one or two things. I hope that you understood better one or two things as we read. Please do well to drop in the comments what stood out for you as we read, what you were reminded of, what was surprising for you, what resonated with you, and do well to share this link with your friends and loved ones so that they can read the Bible together with us. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button so that you are aware every single time that we are live. Do have a lovely day. See you at 9 p.m.